Hello everyone and welcome to Call It Crits. We're just going to do a quick mic check before we begin because I had heavy technical difficulties when entering Discord. So what I'd like to do is everyone who is in the Discord, just give me a quick hello everyone.
Hello everyone.
That's perfect. I've got you on my stream and we're all working. Fantastic. So officially now, hello everyone and welcome to Call It Crits.
Ringcaster, I said sounds good.
Excellent. I also had my Discord talking to me in my headphones saying sounds good. I've got text to voice thing on there so I don't miss a message, which is fun. Yes, we're going to jump in tonight's session. We've got a very nervous dungeon master because I left it on a very precarious cliffhanger in the last session, which you know it's interesting on one side and scary on the other. So we'll run into the recap. So the Slaughtergoths have been charged. Taken up the task of saving the Fea de Santra, the sacred tree of Ashinoke, and to do so they've entered the Feywild. They've done lots in the Feywild. They've lost members. They've gained members. They've fought they've fought dragons or fairy dragons. They've fought giants. They've fought Fomorians. And then they went into the Shadow Ivy. They defeated the Shadow Ivy and fought the Gulthius tree, and managed to stop the Shadow Ivy from further spreading. I think I said all that in a nutshell. After doing this, you guys left the you left the plain where the impound pasture, where these rogue plants were being kept. And you headed back to Felnor so that you could get yourselves together and head back to Ashinoke. But when you got back to Felnor, you were greeted by Nimtaline, who said that you had a visitor. And you headed towards the noble house where the leader, Patan, lives. And when you entered, you saw a very familiar looking figure. She was wearing fur-lined coats, which covers her back, and she's got sort of dark green leather armour, common to what you would find crafted in the Underdark. She's equipped with several daggers, a short sword, a white wood bow, and a quiver holding several types of magical arrows. Her hair is plaited on both sides, tied back in a ponytail. Parts of the plait are loose, giving the impression that she hasn't maintained it for quite some time. This person before you, who approached you, Ralgin, and gave you a hug as soon as she saw you, you recognise as Relan. But this isn't the same Relan that you knew back home. It's the same Relan, but you don't. There's something different about her. Her eyes seem to tell a story of anguish, pain, and adamant determination. She wraps you, Ralgin, in an embrace, and I don't know. There's a moment of silence between you, and then she kind of pulls away, and just kind of looks at you and stares at you and just. It seems to be taking you in a way. Do you do anything?
Drawn up pause, and I say, who did I get in a fight with when I was 11?
That's a very odd question to ask me, brother. You know, upon our first meeting, you got into that fight with that boy Callum. You know, for that thing that he said to us.
When we were 6, we ran off to be explorers. Where did we go?
No, this isn't information you've given me.
It's in the message.
Oh, right, okay. And that was once again strange questions, brother. We ran out of town. Well, we were meant to stay in town, but we ran out, and it's the day we found Lynx. What? Why the questions? Sorry, you broke up there, Rob.
I can't. What's happened?
There's a lot to catch up on.
I've been gone 3 days.
Raljin, you've been gone 4 years.
Ah, dear. I thought this had happened.
I understand this is going to be a lot to take in. I have a lot to talk to you about, and as she does this, just give me a quick... What's your passive insight?
Passive insight.
Actually, anyone that's in the room can give a quick passive insight if they're watching this.
Who was there, Phil?
Everyone was there.
I'm not. I've left.
Oh, Grinks is not there.
Insight, then?
Yeah, passive.
Insight.
Just a passive insight. Unless, of course, you're trying to determine this and you're trying to figure out what's wrong, in which case I'll give you a roll. But
Yeah, give us a roll.
Absolutely am.
alright, then give me a roll of insight then.
14.
Okay.
Hang on. Well, that's. That is. Say. 18.
22.
Oh.
Ooh.
You make me look dumb, you.
This is what I do.
So,
This is not what
She's-
I do.
you can tell...
Consular, you may do the thinking.
Anyone that rolled above a 15?
Oh!
Sorry.
What am I
Um,
rolling for? Sorry, Phil.
This is
What am I rolling for?
insight if you are watching this interaction
But
between
Ayla
the two.
tried
I'm
so
watching this
hard.
interaction.
I got 16.
16.
It's very rare I roll anything over 8, so I'll take.
I got a 25, 19 on dice plus 6 to my insight.
Oh, I'm just disgusted.
Yeah. Anyone that notices, you'll notice anyone above a 15. You kind of notice there's when you're watching it, you notice there's a bit of a hand movement of Relan's towards her chest, and there's kind of it's an ever so subtle, but there's kind of almost like a holding back. It's like a wince or something, almost like just something that, you know, as she kind of puts her hand up, it almost looks like a very passive gesture, the way she kind of does this, but then kind of her face scrunches up slightly as she does it, and then she kind of puts her hand back down.
Is there anything obvious medically as to what it would be?
Give me, in which case, give me a perception check first.
Perception.
This
Okay,
is for Maureen, because he asked the question.
that is 17.
Okay, it's hard to tell with her dark green leathers that's there, but you do notice some that's on the white fur of her, like of kind of like what she's kind of a cape kind of thing. It's like a short cape, but it kind of comes around to a white fur around here, and you notice just at the bottom of this there's tints of red that you would imagine to have been blood that's sort of dried there, and you can see it's sort of like darker around the chest area, and there's a slight tear in the leather.
Okay, so it's indicative of perhaps an arrow piercing it or a spear, something pointed.
But you notice
Okay.
she the way that she kind of does it, you can tell that she's trying to hide that, but she's not doing a good job at that.
Are you hurt?
No, not hurt. Just had a quite a travel, and we've got a lot to talk about, and I've got, well, there's a reason for me being here. I'm so glad I found you. I have a way for you to get out of the Feywild.
Mum and Dad, are they okay?
They're fine.
Is everything
They're,
okay?
they're fine. They're fine. Perhaps if we sit down, I can give you everything you need to know.
At least allow me to dress your wound whilst you talk to us, as that doesn't look like it's stable.
I'm not wounded. I'm fine.
Well,
Okay.
you're a terrible liar.
Hang on 1 second. That's a 9, 10, 11, 12 on deception. So
Right.
anyone that wants to try and beat that, it would be insight.
yes.
Right.
I have
That's
advantage
15 on
since she
dice.
is my twin.
I will allow that.
And 21.
Oh, yeah.
Non-natural 20.
Well, that's a nat 20.
So everyone can tell that she is lying. She's but she's kind of lying. So you can tell that when she says she's not wounded, she's not. She's telling the truth about that. You can kind of get that. But there's something else that she's lying about, and it's to do with the wound and why she's trying to hide it, but you don't know what that is. There's some hidden intention to that. And she says, really, I'm not wounded. I'm fine. And
Has she got a fever or anything?
give me a medicine check.
Nice.
Is your wound psychological?
18. 12 plus 6.
There's no fever, and she turns to you, Sal, and she gives you a quizzical look. She says, "I've not met you. Who are you?
No.
Where's Korvax and Garroth? Shouldn't they be with you?"
We ran into Garroth's dad. They went with him, but no, that's not important right now. What the hell's is going on?
Okay. She turns to Nimtaline and she says, "Is there a place that we can go and sit down?" Nimtaline just says, "Absolutely. Come on through to the meeting room, and we can bring you some drinks. We can get you some food, and you can get yourselves rested. Plenty of time for you to fill them in on everything that you've told us as well." She says, "There, thank you." And then she just, he leads off towards a door to the side, and they lead you down a corridor towards a smaller room where there's like a meeting room. It's not like a long table, chairs around it. It's decorated with more pictures of Pantan, the leader of of Felnor. You can tell that she's quite a vain person. She has images of herself all over the place in all sorts of different poses and looks and things. It's it's just everywhere. You head on in and come and sit down, and Roland sits down. She kind of takes off her weapon belt and places it down, as it would be uncomfortable to sit down in that. Takes off her whitewood bow and places that down as well. She sits down and says, "I guess you'd want me to start at the beginning?"
A nod.
Okay. So, 4 years ago, you, the Slaughtergoths, you went through into the Feywild portal beneath the Fey de Santra to stop this Shadow Ivy, which, in my time, is now gone. But we didn't know how long you would be gone for. I'm assuming neither did you. In the weeks that followed, as we awaited your return and we awaited the Shadow Ivy to recede, the lizard folk in the surrounding areas began to mount attacks upon us, and with the forest being bare and the magic feigning, we were left unprotected from that, and they just kept coming. We lost many soldiers, and every time we were able to push them back. But they kept coming. We knew it was like they were having some sort of outside help. Eventually, about 4 weeks after you'd gone. The lizard folk were able to push into the town. Somehow they'd managed to get the help of 2 chromatic dragons. They call themselves Vabokal the Stormtail and Anrax the Violent, a blue and a green dragon working together, which is odd anyway, but even when Auril, showed himself as a gold dragon, he couldn't even push them back, and we were forced to retreat.
To Naloon.
Yes. The whole of the townsfolk, we got everyone together before the second attack, before the second wave of the dragons came, and we managed to retreat, but we didn't get everybody. Every member of the Whitewood family, we made it out. We managed to get to Naloon, and we've been living there for the last 3.5 years. Well, 4 years-ish. Well, 3.5 since we left. I think everyone just assumed. Everyone assumed that you'd failed. We all assumed that you'd perished in the Feywild, and you were our last chance, and we had to leave, and we had to build a new life somewhere else because it was never coming back.
We are 3 years in the future in the material plane.
In my material plane, but I'll come to that. I never gave up hope. Never. I knew that you were still alive, Raljin. Call it the twin connection or something, but I knew, I could feel your presence, that you were still alive. But you were being pulled away from me. I couldn't explain it. So, every month, I would walk to the boundary, just on the hill, you know where I mean, where you can just sort of look over into the town, you can just see it in its entirety. And I would watch, and for years I would watch, and I would see the sad sight of the lizard folk moving in, building their forts, and desecrating our town. But I would not really concentrate on that. I was watching the Fey de Santra, always looking for your return. Always. After 3 years and failed attempts at trying to get back what we'd lost, the Drow did help. They built armies, and we went to push back into Ashenot to try and reclaim our lands. But the dragons and the lizard folk are always managed to push us back, and the Drow that we have, that they can't spend too much time out in the sun. It just it wasn't working for us. Eventually, after 4 years, I was stood upon the hill, and I saw a sign that gave me hope. I saw the tree bloom again. The shadow ivy was beginning to reside, was beginning to fall away. And I knew that you'd succeeded. You took your goddamn time, but you succeeded. I knew what it meant. I knew that you succeeded. So I got my party together. Yes, I became a goddamn adventurer. Against everything that I believed in, but yeah, myself and Dosky, we put together a party. We did most of our adventuring in the Feywild. Anyway, We
4 years and he's still following you around.
we got together and we mastered. And just to let you know, she bypasses that question completely. Give me a perception check, Raljin. Just Raljin.
That's cocked. There we go. Well, that's 19 on dice.
Alright. You see her hand kind of go up to her face and kind of rub her eye a little bit. And you can see, and I'm going to call this sibling intuition. You can see that she got quite hyper-emotional then, and was holding something back, and she's kind of plays it back and just continues on with her story. So anyway, I went back to see Mother and Father, and the leaders in Naloon, and I told them what I'd seen, and that the Drow, they didn't want to believe us. They didn't want to send any more out, not so soon anyway. And I knew that. I knew that if you'd succeeded, then you were going to be coming back through there. And you couldn't come back into that. You'd perish as soon as you left. And so I did the only thing I could do. I gathered my party together, and we set out. We had some advice from a wizard friend of mine. He's the town sage, but he's accompanied us on some of our adventures. Imorn, they called him. He said that he knew a way that you could get out of the Feywild before all of this. If I could just get to you before you left, you could leave before all of this happened. The magic isn't perfect, but if I can stop you from walking out into that, then I'll have saved you.
What happens to you?
I'll go back and I will convince them to take back our home.
But if we get back to my time, if we're only gone a few days or a week, then where you're from, it may not happen. So what happens to you?
I have no idea. I don't really understand the whole time warp thing that Imorn was talking about. That this whole time dilation of when you go to the Feywild, you could come back days, weeks, months, even years after you left. But someone from the same timeline leaves and comes in at the same time can come from that further timeline, but then you could go back to your normal timeline and it all be split out, and I don't know what will happen to my timeline, but I do know that if you go back before all of this happens, then there is at least a timeline where it doesn't happen. She does it once again. She kind of places her hand on her chest again and places it down on the table. Okay. I know where to go. Imorn told me where to go, and I can certainly get you there. It's less than a day's travel from here. Can we?
Said that you had a party.
Yeah.
What happened? What happened to Dosky and the others?
It doesn't matter. It won't matter if we get there and we get you there, then it won't matter. seriously, I mean, in myself as a DM, you can actually see that she is really trying not to talk about it.
Can Sal, because Sal doesn't know Relan, Sal wants to insight check
Mm-hmm.
because this person appears suspicious to them. Because why would they go through all this for someone else?
Okay. I like the theory. Go for it.
What's in it for them? Insight. That is a... Oh gosh, another 22.
Nice. So, from what you can gather, she's got a deep emotional investment in this, and the more she, the more you see Raljin press the "what happened to your party," and specifically Dosky when he says that name. You notice that she looks away from him, and her hand goes. She's trying to stop her hand from going back up to her chest, but she's kind of like hovers there like she's trying not to, and she's trying to kind of forget about that, and she's trying to ignore that. But there's a hyper emotional thing. She's really, given the roles, she's really not doing a very good job at hiding that.
So you come with us. You come home. We stop this together.
I'll come with you as far. I'll come with you as far as the portal. As far as the 2 trees.
I would presume, from my knowledge of... So she's from an alternate timeline, am I right in thinking that, Phil?
It's what your character can certainly assume, yes.
Can I make an Arcana check or something with maybe Yarn's assistance to try and work out if she is like a temporal copy or something?
So Yarn and Mulrin are having a conversation about this at the back. So yeah, you can absolutely roll with advantage, yeah?
Amazing. That is a 13 plus 8 for Arcana. Go on, Knowledge Cleric. That's a 21.
21. Nice. So, it's not something that's it's a rare phenomenon. Is this the whole Feywild time warp thing? It's the biggest thing that's kind of jumped out at you with this whole conversation is when Roland started talking about being connected to Raljin, and that she felt his presence even though everyone assumed that he was gone. And when she followed, you can hypothesize that when she followed him into the Feywild from her timeline, she inadvertently moved in, but she was still connected to Raljin. Meaning that when she came through into the timeline that Raljin was currently in, via that connection.
I guess because time moves faster in the material plane compared to the Feywild.
Yes.
In relative
sometimes
she'd be walking alongside it.
Sometimes. So, time in the Feywild and time within the material plane, they have a very loose connection. So when a group goes into the Feywild together, they are connected. And when they go through together and when they leave together. And whatever time period they leave in, whether it be like minutes, hours, weeks or months into the past, present or future, or not past, but present or future, that kind of happens when you leave. But because you guys hadn't left, and you can hypothesize that Relan still has that connection to Raljin, when she's come into the Feywild, she's joined him on the timeline that he was on, but not from the timeline that's but still connected to the timeline that she was on. So she's kind of stuck between two at the moment.
So as Jan and Morin have had that conversation back and forth between themselves and have worked it out, Morin will step forwards to Roland and say, "So your friend the Sage created a portal from your current material plane to the Feywild, and if we travel through this portal, we will travel back to before when we first entered the Feywild, which would
Not
be at least a
exactly.
couple of years."
Not exactly. My friend, first of all, Imorn, didn't create the portal. The portal exists here. It's just guarded by the spirit of the forest. The spirit of the forest is the one that controls the portal. She will be the one that can send you back to anywhere on the material plane that you desire. Like I said, the magic isn't perfect, but I know that it definitely won't send you years. I've been guaranteed that. So it won't send you years into the future, which means that you will avoid everything that I've had to suffer.
Well, let's.
Okay.
Sorry, Malvin, what was that?
At this point, Raujin and party, we have been through enough. Why not travel through a dimensional link into a different instance of the same plane?
Can I use an investigation check to see if theoretically that aligns up?
You can absolutely.
That's unnatural 20.
Sorry, say that again. Natural 20.
Unnatural 20.
Unnatural 20. Okay, cool. Sorry, I was just letting my dog through. So yeah, with that, it does seem that if you do that, you kind of like sat there doing the math, and what you know about the Feywild yourself, and what you've probably read at the Encantus University, it does line up. There's some things that just don't make sense because it's such a rare phenomenon. From what you've actually been told, it's only been referenced maybe a few times throughout history. This particular phenomenon, so it's something that's so rare, and it's the circumstances that you are in that puts you there. It's the fact that Relan and Raljin are twins has had a deep effect on this.
Let's let's go home, shall we? Guys, please, if there is a chance to save my home, please.
Okay, then we'll go. We'll get you to the portal. We'll meet with the spirit of the forest, and hopefully they'll get us there. I've spoken to Nimtaleen when I first arrived, and they can get us as far as the Summer Groves, which is very close to the to where the tree spirit resides. In the prime material plane, it's close to the boundaries of the Nokobaka Mountains. More on the east side, close to the Elladell Woods area and the other places. Nimtaleen, as during this conversation, everything that's gone. It's been a while since you've been on this. I'd say it's been like lots of backwards and forwards questions and things. Does anyone else want to ask any questions of Relan while we're here?
Yeah, this conflict you've had with the lizard folk, was the what's it called involved? What's it called? The other set of soldiers we fought alongside ages ago, the
Regal Star.
Yes, the Regal Star.
No. As far as I know, the Regal Stars only operate within the Kingdom, and we're the Commonwealth. So they weren't involved. One thing I.
Yes, do go on.
She stops.
I'm going to pursue the matter. Yes, you started something there. I'm very interested. Continue.
Ayla,
She's nothing.
Has something happened?
Ayla,
Let's go. Let's get our things. And Nimtaline, after we've eaten, could we go? And Nimtaline who's just been kind of stood in the corner this whole time, while some of the people have been to bought food. She says, yeah, I can get the portal prepared, and we can get you going within the hour if you need. And she says, thank you. And Nimtaline sort of goes off to get sorted. Roland just kind of pulls a couple of grapes off a plate and just eats them, but you notice she doesn't eat much. She doesn't have an appetite.
Sal would like to pull. So Grinks isn't there, were you saying?
Yeah, where are you? Where are you, Grinks?
I would have made sure the second I saw a female drow of whoever was next to me bumping into them and GTFOing out of there as quick as possible.
Well, I'm following that lead in a moment, but first, I'm going to pull Mulrid aside, I think.
Okay.
And say, listen, old man, are we going to go to a place to preemptively murder someone before they've done anything to us?
Of that I am unsure. I believe the suggestion is that... Go again, sorry, Sal?
It seems like a good idea.
It has implications. Now, the Feywild, I'm going to use prestidigitation real quick here. The Feywild and its altering timeline, you see in front of you like a green streak appear.
I like this. Is this the great old one in Endgame?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's exactly that.
Are there going to be any ladders
the
in
ancient
this
one,
story
sorry.
you're about to tell me?
There are unfortunately many dangerous possibilities if we go back and mess with something that is a key event within the cosmology of our world. I am very conscious about us taking a favour from a forest spirit.
Yes, but when do we get to kill things?
We will get to kill things in no time. I am sure there's a considerable amount of enemies back in the material plane who are probably looking for us.
Yes, but what I mean is, are we killing things that have... I don't really... I'll be honest, I have absolutely no idea what's going on or who that woman is. And I don't know why we're following her.
That is Raozin's twin sister.
Well, bloody hell.
You do see a resemblance.
She's lived a bit of a life, hasn't she?
She has. Now, Sal, do you remember a time where you didn't live in the Feywild?
Oh, yes.
Now, in the Feywild, time relative to the material plane is much slower in most instances. Again, I'll use my hands and I'll make the strand of green like become a clock face, and I'll be like, as we are progressing at a much slower rate, the material plane, you see a red line go behind the green one, starts spinning around much quicker. The material plane accelerates and time goes much faster compared to where we are, meaning that realistically Roland lived an entire life in the material plane whilst we have been here. I am still very dubious about the fact there is a convenient portal in the Feywild of all places that will just conveniently take us back. How did
you get here?
How did we get here? Morin looks up to the sky for a second, pondering on his chin.
You travel beneath the rift below the roots of the Fea de Santra.
That was it. We travelled through the rift below the Fea de Santra, the holy tree of Ashton Oak.
Right.
That probably doesn't mean much.
Absolutely.
The shortened story is we travelled underneath a magical tree.
Right. Okay.
If
So,
that's not the weirdest thing you heard today.
I mean, we travelled via many magical trees today. Up to our bloody teeth in magical trees at this point.
Exactly, Thorn Merchant. Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Well, Salfall Merchant, I
Yes.
have a suggestion for you.
Yes.
You are able to hide.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Oh yes.
As is our colleague, wherever he has gone.
Oh yes. Yeah.
I would. Go on,
don't
sorry,
think-
Sal.
Don't think he liked that female.
No, I have questions about drow culture, but that shall wait for another
Oh,
time when we're not
There's so
at
much
imminent
to
risk
talk
of being.
about.
As long as we're not turned at risk of becoming plainer paste. But I think
Sorry,
it would be wise
say
for
plainer paste.
someone.
Is that
I
actually
did
a
say
risk?
plainer paste. Possibly. I've read many books. I look up at the sky again, holding onto my chin.
No,
I must
pause.
be
What?
careful.
Plainer paste. That sounds dangerous. What?
I cannot really explain more than the fact that I don't think it will
Just gonna
happen.
put that in my head and then just leave that to rot, are you? Okay. Good. I'll be having nightmares about that for however long we are in
Can we maybe
time hole.
find?
You notice while this is all sort of going on, Relan is actually going to. She kind of stands up and picks up her effects and things and puts her belt back on, and her bow kind of puts over her, much like what you do, Raljin. And she's just going to leave the room, kind of as quietly as she can, whilst other people are talking.
Oh, I haven't taken my eyes off her. I'm following her out.
Okay, so she walks. She's kind of walking down the corridor, just towards, just down the corridor. She seems like she looks like she knows where she's going at this point, and she's just about to open the door to another room. So, are you doing something?
Little old to be sneaking away now, aren't we, Roland?
I'm not sneaking away, Raljin. I'm not. I'm just a little bit tired. I'd like to get myself a short rest before we venture on, before we get you home.
I know what that is that's causing you pain, and I'm so sorry.
You don't know, Raljin.
I do.
You might know, but you don't know.
Morin Origrasper said, H up.
I'll get to you in a moment, Morwin. Unless that means unless that means that you've got to go temporarily.
I've already been. I'll wait until you've done this bit.
Okay. Says, you don't know. There's no. You might know. You don't know.
Well, Aylar's confused.
Well, Aylar's not there. It's just Raljin and Relan at this
Right,
point, and
He's definitely confused then.
Yeah. So she just starts crying in front of you. She's burst into tears, and she literally goes down to her knees, and her hand is now on her chest. Like, there's no hiding it.
I run over and I just hug her, and I start crying as well.
It's just I've not even had a chance to mourn him.
We're gonna fix this. We're gonna make it right. We're gonna get home.
I'm gonna get you home. And then I'm gonna go. And I'm going to drive my sword into Osiris's throat. And you can tell that her pain has now turned into anger.
Well, Annie, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I wasn't there.
You will be. You will be. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to get you back and you're going to be there. You're going to be there for everything. This isn't your fault. It's his fault. His fault alone.
I better go find Grinks. That's the.
Yeah. I'm gonna get
the other, the red-haired.
Oh.
Bro.
It's an interesting fashion choice.
Yeah. I think when we get home, we've got a lot to talk about.
You and younger me have a lot to talk about. I miss it when I didn't have split ends. And you can tell she's trying to put on a joke, even though she's in a lot of pain.
I mean, I was always the better looking one.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you wish. You wish. Okay, I'm gonna...
Okay, I'll be here.
Thank you. Thank you.
And before I let her go, I just push my forehead to hers.
She pushes back. And she turns and walks into the room that she was walking into. And as the door opens, you notice that it's just like a little like bedsit kind of room. There's a bed in there and a wardrobe that she's obviously been told that she can stay in until your return. And she kind of closes the door slowly and just kind of watches you as the door closes. Right, you've got about an hour of preparation time, guys. Is there anything that you guys would like to do? I didn't realise how emotionally involved I would get in this storyline. I'm getting like really like emotional.
How dare you? How dare you? My heart.
Whereabouts actually are we?
So we are currently in Felnor, which is the Autumn Eladrin village that you first found when you came into the Feywild. And I don't know if you were present for that session, Jan. So I forgive you if you don't know where you are. So yeah, you're in an Autumn Eladrin village at the moment, which is the first point of call that you came to when you came into the Feywild.
So there's small houses and stuff around, is there?
Yes, there are. Yes. Yeah, you are currently in like the noble building.
Okay. So am I in view at the minute of everyone?
You can be wherever you want to be at this point. Raljin's kind of in the corridor. Grinks is nowhere to be seen. Sally's...
Grinks is doing some shopping.
Okay. Sally's
having an existential crisis.
Having an existential crisis about playing a paste.
It's just kind of staring into space and just sort of muttering about, why here? Why here? Why did you stay here?
Okay. Where's Ayla, Phil?
Ayla, you were in the room eating as well, so you can be anywhere you like at this point. You've got an hour to prepare. There are shops and things within Felnor that you can go and do a little bit of shopping if you like, but please don't turn the whole session into shopping because I want us to try and get somewhere today. And so I'll do quick shopping. I'm not going to roleplay NPCs. You want it, I tell you price, you get it. That's the kind of shopping session I'm going to do. You can have a proper downtime shopping session when you leave the Feywild, but for now.
Off the back of that then, Phil,
yes.
Can I just say I'd have hung around outside for about 5 minutes having a freak out myself, and then I'd have gone shopping. So what I'm after would be I need some red dye, so I need a price for that.
Red dye, that'll set you back 2 copper.
Okay, I need some
and the red dye
quality...
The red dye that you get is actually manufactured out of red leaves. So you actually see them making it, and they sort of place it in sort of like an acidic compound, which they then mix and crystal together, and it makes a very good, strong red dye, which is a little bit more vibrant than what you normally have.
Okay, well that's fine. That's good. It's going to take a bit of explaining, but that's fine. I'm also going to need some good quality, expensive ink because 30 years sat in a coffin has dried all of mine up.
Yes, it will have done. Inks. It's not going to be too heavy on your wallet. I'll say 5 silver for the inks.
Okay. I'm also going to grab some good quality paper.
Paper. Yeah, you can get some good quality, depending on how much you want.
Well, essentially, I've got a notebook, so I need to. I want enough for if I say maybe 100 gold worth.
Oh, you're not gonna need to spend 100 gold on paper, man. I mean, maybe 10 silver on paper. Paper's not that expensive.
It's wrote in the book.
Is it for magical spells?
With the ink as well. I'm looking for good quality.
Okay, hang on a second. What page are you on, my friend?
Oh shit, I've lost it. But I think it's about 1 second. Copy and spell, but it's page 114 of the PHB.
114 of the PHB. PHB. 114.
But it says 50 gold for each level of the spell. So if I'm thinking,
oh right, okay. So I assumed it was just for your normal notebook. No, if it's
it's inks and paper to cover that. So if we turn around and say 50 gold for each level of the spell, that'd be 150. So 300 gold just to give me 6 levels worth of spells that I can copy.
That's fine. Yeah. So let's say that 300 gold.
Okay. And also, was there anything on the shopping list of scrolls that I sent you that I would have come across?
Let me just check my Discord again.
I'm quite happy to just knock off all of that 1200 if needed.
Okay. Where am I? So. Okay, so. Alright, okay, so you won't get all of these.
No, I'm realistically, I'm thinking I might get 1, possibly 2, depending on cost.
Okay, so you will find, I mean, Featherfall you'll find, Flaming Sphere, Web.
It's more Dragon's Breath that I'm looking for.
Roll me a D100.
Oh shit!
Actually, no, go on, D20. Roll me a D20.
Oh, natural 20.
You find Dragon's Breath. There is a vendor that is actually that has been working on Dragon's Breath, and he's really proud of his accomplishment. And he's willing to sell that to you for the price of. Hang on a second. What, the second level spell? The price of a second level spell. Shopping, which is. Sorry, guys. 1 second.
Is it an uncommon spell scroll?
It is an uncommon, so it can be anything from. I'm going to say 200 gold.
And then I'll spend 100 gold grabbing incense, charcoal, and stuff like that for Find Familiar. So kind of just 2 or 3 summonings worth. So if I knock off, say, 600 gold total from that 1200, we'll call it a day. Yeah. And then I'll go back to the hut the building that we was in down the side alley, and I'll spend an hour summoning Nyx again, which should kind of bring the timelines to match up.
Okay. Yeah. So you've got your bird back. You got your bird back. So yeah.
After Griggs has done that, they would like to find Griggs.
Okay, give me an investigation roll then, please, Sal.
Investigation. That will be a non-natural 20.
So an unnatural 20. With that, you do eventually manage to track him down. You go for the assumption that he's probably gone off somewhere into the village. It's not a big village. There's only a very small shopping area. And you do notice him just sort of walking out of a small shop, carrying some of his papers, inks, and charcoal and stuff like that. And he kind of you kind of see him go down like an alleyway No, it's not like an alleyway, but like between two buildings. I guess you can call it an alleyway, but it's not like your typical city alleyway. It's just two small buildings, and he sort of slides down between there. Would you like to follow him?
Oh yes.
So, would you like to follow him loudly or quietly?
Well, I guess quietly.
So, stealth check.
Yeah, I mean that's what I always do. I mean, I've got. Oh well, that's a. That is a 28.
Yeah.
You are the wind.
Holy!
So I'm guessing that is like your passive perception. Jay's not.
I'm
Gonna
not
touch
even
that.
looking for that.
Yeah.
I'm muttering under my breath in undercommon curses to female drow and that bloody blue idiot that's going to get me killed.
Okay. You notice him casting his spell, and how long does your spell take? Is it an hour or 10 minutes? An hour. So you're watching him, and he's he kind of setting all of his stuff up. Are you going to watch him for this full hour while he's casting this spell?
Well, I don't want him to lose the spell. I'll wait until he's finished before I say anything.
Okay. So you sit and you kind of just watch him for an hour silently in the darkness.
Oh yes, silently. My favorite place.
And eventually you notice there's this kind of like poof of shadow that kind of comes up, and you kind of watch him. If you look, it looks like he's performing some sort of evil ritualistic spell, and you're kind of worried for a second, or maybe you're not. And then this kind of black bird kind of forms from the shadow and then flies around and perches on Grinx's shoulder. At this point, you notice him.
Bird. Very nice bird.
I'm going to jump and I'll reflex poop darkness.
The whole area goes dark.
Yes, that's what I want. So from the darkness, you hear this little croaky voice saying, "So not a massive fan of females, are you?"
I've had a bad experience and I'll cancel the darkness and try and just style it out.
I mean, fair.
And
They
at
can
this
be a
point,
bit rough in certain parts of the world, can't they? So,
I'll smile and I'm
family?
going to drop my cloak, turn my back to Sal and lift up my white silk shirt that's seen better days. And across my back, you'll see a spiderweb tattoo going from the nape of my neck over my left shoulder blade and down my left arm, but scars all across my back.
That sounds about right.
Let's just say I don't trust our kind.
So which house did that? Or was it multiple?
A fan of all of them.
So, wasn't Drakan then, was it?
At the mention of that name, I'm literally going to freeze and start reaching towards the battered hilt. What
No need for
makes
that.
you say that?
Let's just say that you're not the only one with scars.
I'm going to insight that because the mention of Drakan's going to really scare the shit out of me.
Yeah, go for it.
That would be 14, 15, 16, 17.
17. You get to decide, obviously, Fran. On.
What
Yeah.
what would I roll to like decide?
If you're wanting to counteract it, if you're lying to him, you can roll deception against it.
I'm not lying.
If you're
No.
telling the truth, you can say, with your 17, you can say that you can read, because 17 is a pretty good read on whether you can tell someone's telling the truth or not. Or you can try to make things better for him and roll persuasion, which I'll say will have a more of an effect on how well he believes you.
Well, I'm not going to say which one I rolled. I can tell you, GM.
Yeah.
But I can tell Grinx that I seem truthful.
Okay. Did you want to message me which one you rolled, or?
Yeah, I'll message you.
Just so I know, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Do, 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 do. Ah, there we are. Okay, that's all right then.
Yeah. You can't really sort of tell much because they keep their face covered, but they're kind of staring at you like not in an unfriendly manner, and they're kind of waiting for your reaction.
I'll pause for a moment. Make sure I'm getting the read right. I'll take my hand away from the battered hilt, and I'll drop to my knees, and I'm going to start rummaging through my messages pack, and I'll draw out some red dye, take my hat off, and as you look, you can see white hair at the roots, and I'm going to start applying the dye to the hair.
So tell me, why keep dyeing it? If you don't want to be involved with them anymore.
If you look like one of them, there's a chance they'll lose interest, or you may be able to buy enough time to get away.
Maybe if you're a blue skin. Some of us don't have that advantage. But I take it you're not involved with them anymore.
I had a tangling with them, what would be now a few decades ago. We had a disagreement when they tried to sacrifice me to her. I have nothing to do with them.
Well, you have my sympathies. I'm glad you survived.
I picked up a few scars from the attempt.
So, you left willingly.
Yeah, let's just say our interests no longer aligned, and I valued very much so being alive.
That's good to know. And I leave.
And I walk away.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Just happened. I'll finish with the dye, put the hat on, and then I'm going to mooch around the building waiting for people to come out.
Excellent. Okay, so with that, what we'll do is, unless anyone else wants to, is anyone else wanting to accomplish anything in this time before you leave Felnor? Yes.
Phil, that magic ring I've got, do you have to charge it by killing undead things or whatever it was?
You have to charge it by slaying elementals, fire elementals.
So you can't actually go to a shop and purchase something or someone to charge it for you?
No.
Worth asking. Is there a shop that is there a shop that sells weird and odd magical items?
Nothing like Cohen's Collectibles, I'm afraid.
Okay, that's all I was asking. That's me done.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yes. I want to cast invisibility on myself and snoop around.
Okay. What would you like to? Okay, so you cast invisibility. Where are you looking? What's your objective here?
I want to try and sneak around and find where people's quarters are, and if they're not in them, dig about and see if I can find anything. I've got a feeling that something just doesn't add up, so I'm looking for anything sort of unorthodox or not from the region or just.
Okay. So in here, you guys did have a place to stay when you came the last time, but since then, I mean, the rooms are currently vacant. One of them is being slept in by Relan. I say slept in, but she's just sort of in there having a rest. So in terms of that, there's just a load of empty rooms which you're not using now because you're going to be leaving shortly anyway. But certainly, you can. I mean, do you want to try and look in Relan's room while she's in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just so you know,
Yep.
I haven't left her door. I'm kind of sitting against the wall.
Okay. So invisible. As you're invisible, Jan, you walk down the corridor. Give me a stealth check with advantage.
One second, let me just find the dice. Found it. That's 12.
What's your passive perception, Rajan?
Passive perception is it is 15.
You hear footsteps coming down the corridor, Rajan. You look down the corridor, but you don't see anybody.
Draw my bow.
You draw your bow and you point it down the corridor, and Jan, you see Rajan. He's got his bow out and he's pointing it. It's not at you. It's not pointing at you. It's kind of pointing slightly to the left of you because he can't see exactly where you are.
So I want to try and cast Minor Illusion, and a dog runs around the corner at the other end of the room.
Okay. Rajan, you hear... Was it a dog?
Yeah.
Okay. You just at the end of the other end of the corridor. Your attention is taken away as you turn and you see a dog, sort of like run, just down the corridor, and around the corner.
All right. So what would that be to?
So I would say it is an intelligence check.
Oh, good. My strong suit. Yeah. No. That's a 3.
Oh, so you see a dog run off, and it kind of belts it round the corner.
I assume that the footprints came from the dog, even though they sounded nothing like dog footprints.
Okay. And then what do you do? Is that it?
Yeah, I take the arrow out of the bow and go back to just sitting there.
Okay. So you see Jan, Raljin is just sat just in front of Relan's door, leaning against it.
No,
did you
next
say?
to.
Next
I'm
to.
sitting next to the door.
Next to the door. So the door is exposed, but Raljin is just next to it.
I've decided that the risk outweighs the reward.
That would have been fun.
So,
Oh, I was looking forward to that.
just my social awkwardness can't cope with role playing that. Let's do something more realistic, shall we?
Do you want me to do it for you?
Yes.
Okay.
But, yes, doubling back on that, then I'm going to just sort of slink my way out of the building, and I want to just sort of have a poke around, like looking for traces of any arcana, any.
Okay. Well, actually, I'll say that whilst you are looking around, you do sort of catch a glimpse of Nimtaline, the paladin guard of Felnor, making his way into the royal chambers or the leaders' chambers, just down the corridor. The door has still been left open as he goes in.
I can't not look, can I?
I like that. I can't not. So you head on in. Give me another stealth check. With advantage, because...
5.
Oh. As you... Andy. With advantage.
I've got +2. Oh no, sorry, 6. I've got
6.
+2. And
Okay.
I rolled a 3 and a 4. So
Okay. So, as you go to walk through the door, your foot creaks on what would appear to be like a loose floorboard, and you notice Nimtaline turn suddenly and look towards the door, right in your direction, because you're kind of like going through the crack of the door. He's just sort of stood in front of the leader Pantan, who's up on the sort of up on a throne, I guess you can call it, and he turns and looks towards the door. Pantan then says, "You left the door open?" And he goes, I'm sorry, my mistress." And he goes and he walks towards the door. Are you still stood in the doorway?
I just want to stay still now. I've got It's a concentration spell that lasts up to an hour. So
Okay.
I'm going to place my bets. Maybe just make sure that I'm out of any major walkways or anything like that, but just stay still and listen.
So you put yourself just onto the inside of the door and stand still. And he kind of walks up to the doorway. He looks, the look in his face, deadly suspicious. Kind of looks, pokes his head through the other side of the doorway. Yes. Could have sworn I heard something.
I whispered, it was the pipes.
I'm guessing that was out of character. So and he closes the door, and then he walks back up to Pantan, and she says, "Well, continue." He says, "They're going to be heading towards the Summer Groves to see the spirit of the forest. They're going to be asking the spirit for passage to the material plane, somewhat closer to the original timeline." She says, "The spirit of the forest isn't always forthcoming with everybody. It doesn't always just grant favors for free. I definitely want to see them try, though." And she kind of has a little bit of a smile on her face, and Nimtaline just says, "They've made it this far, madam. They're a strong bunch. They've spoken to Bardnar. They've been into the impound pasture. They've even claimed to have spoken with Viloff himself. Perhaps there's something to them, something that other people that have come through here haven't had. I'm definitely not going to interfere, and I think, once again, see how it plays out, but I have every faith in them." And she kind of sits back in her chair and just says, "I think they're just going to be like every other do-gooder that's come through here. They'll perish in these woods, they'll perish in the Feywild. It's not like their home. They're not from here. They can't survive here. But they're welcome to try." And he kind of sort of bows and says, "So I'm okay to give them passage to the Summer Groves?" And she says, "Of course, that's fine. Now, can you please send for my food? I'm very hungry." And she says, "Yes, madam." And as he comes to walk towards, she notices her snap her fingers, and just to the side, someone you didn't even notice was there, and kind of comes out from a pillar with an easel, and kind of places it in front, and kind of gets some paints back out, and she says, "It was this side, wasn't it?" and he nods and starts painting more pictures of her, and sort of continuing a very ornate picture of her. Nimtaline walks towards the door. He opens the door and walks through it. Oh, what are you doing, Jan?
I'm staying very still. Am I out of the way?
You're stood to the side of the door. He's opened up the door and he's walked through the door now. So there's he's on the other side. It's quite a heavy door, so after he's opened it, he has to get to the other side of it and then push it closed. So you've got about 3 seconds to get out if you're going to get out.
I also I don't know if it's intentional or not, but Phil, or whether I'm overthinking it, but you made him sound really evil then.
I probably did, but he does have a bit of a posh demeanour voice, so it didn't mean to sound eager. He's actually quite a trusted fellow. Anyway.
I insinuated as much, but it just sounded sinister.
No, I'm with you. Evil.
Oh dear. Anyway, I mean, you're free to insight if you like.
Yeah. Can I insight onto the nature of that conversation? Because although the content of it was fairly reassuring.
Okay, yeah, give me an insight on the nature of the conversation.
11.
It seemed fine. Okay. So you've got about 3 seconds to leave this room before the door closes on you. What would you like to do? Or would you like it to close and then try and get out by other means?
Just very quickly, can I use one of those 3 seconds? Are there any other exits, windows?
You have a look around. No. Nothing within walking distance. Most of the windows are quite high up.
Right, I want to get out.
All right, give me a quick stealth check.
How high up? Are the windows that would be... Would they be able to fit a body through them? regardless.
No, they're quite small.
All right, and yeah, I want to exit. So I want to try and slide out the door.
Okay, so he goes to close the door, and you're gonna kind of slim through. Give me one more stealth check, please, with advantage.
Unnatural 20.
Hey! So you manage to and kind of slim through, and then the door closes, and you just notice that your cloak is caught on the other side, and you just kind of pull it and kind of pull it towards yourself, and you notice as the door closes seconds before trapping your cloak in it, and then you stand perfectly still as you watch as Nimtaline just walks off down the corridor back towards where your party are. The rest of you guys, you notice Nimtaline sort of comes back into the dining hall. I don't know who's still there. Rousing, you notice him coming down the corridor. It's been about an hour since you said that you were going. Since you said you were going to go, and he says, "I've got the portal ready. Are you ready? Are you all ready to go?" Upon hearing this, you notice the door open. Raljin and Relan sort of comes out. She's got her hood up, with the fur sort of coming around. She looks across and says, "I'm ready. Let's go."
I stand up.
Okay. At this point, Grinks and Sal, you'll have just got there. Grinks shortly after, and I'll say that you all sort of get together. Are you dropping your invisibility, Jan?
Yes.
Yes. You drop your invisibility and sort of join with them, obviously not in sight of everybody. And he takes you through to a room where there is sort of like a teleportation circle on the floor, decorated sort of like, it looks like there's trees and leaves and floral bloom within this circle, all etched into the ground. It says, "This is the portal to the Summer Groves. Once you get there, unfortunately, I can't teleport all of us, so I will have to remain here. But once you're there, if you travel northward of your position, you should get to the realm with the spirit of the forest. Once there, it's all yours. I'd like to say I hope to see you again, but I really hope you don't. You're not in another predicament like this again. So if we do see each other again, let's hope that it's at better terms and better circumstances." And he extends a hand out to you, Raljin.
I hesitantly take his hand and shake it.
And he good strong shake, and he kind of goes around and does the same to everyone. He shakes everybody's hand, and then kind of steps back and says, "Right, everyone in the circle." And I'm assuming you all step into the circle.
I do. I'm going to be as far away as physically possible from Roland.
Okay.
I'm right next to her, and I take her hand.
Okay. Nimtaline kind of turns to there's another person in the room dressed in sort of like mage clothes, who then begins to kind of do a somatic hand movements, kind of places his hands together and opens them again. The portal around you begins to glow, and there's a sweet blossomy smell that fills the air, and it's almost like a warm wind begins to blow around you, and within seconds, or 6 seconds to be precise, there is a boom, and with a burst of warm sunlight, you all leave the chambers of Felnor and arrive on a stony platform between 4 trees in the middle of the warm, blossoming Summer Grove. And that's where we're going to take a break. So we'll take a break there, and we'll come back in. Is 10 minutes good for you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know, Andy, you've got to disappear at 9 tonight. I'm trying to get through, but obviously we'll see where we get to. But I don't want to rush it, but I also know that we've got things to get through tonight.
You don't need to force it. I can stretch it out to about half an hour. I've only got a bit of work to do.
Okay. Right, 10 minutes, guys. Grab your tea, pee, and hopefully there's going to be no care. Okay. All right. That's my new catchphrase. I'll see you. And for people that are watching, we'll see you in 10 minutes. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Call It Crits, where we are heading to the Summer Groves, another area of the Feywild, on a different part of the Feywild, to the Autumn Groves, where you've just come from, Felnor. So you're going to be heading to meet with the Spirit of the Forest, to ask for passage back to the material plane within greater accuracy hopefully so that so that you definitely won't end up back there years from now, but definitely end up back there at least closer to the time that you left. So, let me get my music back on because if for some reason it's not on. There we go. So we'll jump back in. So the portal, you all appear within the Summer Groves. It's a blossoming pink, purple, and lilacly blue trees, which kind of expand out just for as far as you can kind of see. It's quite thick. Thick trees. You can see it kind of floating down to the ground every now and then, and there's a lot of it sort of scattered all over the ground. But it's there's something strange about this blossom actually, because you notice as it goes down to the ground, much like snow on a lukewarm day, it falls down to the ground, and as it hits the ground, you notice it just kind of fade and disappear. And so there are blossoms, sort of like spots all over the ground, but only from fresh blossom that hits the ground, and after a few seconds it just kind of vanishes, and then more blossom floats down in just a breeze of colour, of pinks, purples, and lilac-y blues. Relan steps off the teleportation circle and down a small stony step, as if not even really taking in the surroundings, and she kind of looks around, puts her hand down to the ground and looks forward, and she says, this is due north. Probably not got much time to lose. Let's go. And she starts walking.
I will follow behind.
Okay, Raljin and Lynx follow behind. Is everyone else following?
Yes, I want to talk to Raljin discreetly. I want to just ask, what did he manage to ascertain whilst he was in conversations with his sister? Because the rest of the party missed out a huge chunk of that, if you remember.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even know what happened while we were away. So, Raljin, what did you manage to find out? I deliberately stopped asking questions because I heard you clearly wanted me to prevent me from asking any more. So, what did you manage to ascertain?
I look to Ayla and I say, I'll tell you when we get home.
All I want to know is, what are we up against? Who is? Something happened while we were. Whose work is it? That's all I care about.
Well, we already know who caused Shadow Ivy, and the Shadow Ivy led to everything else.
Right. Okay, that's enough for me. I understand. I'll speak to you later.
And just so you know, Ayla, you were present for Relan's explanation of everything that happened in the last 4 years. So you were all in the room.
I thought I wasn't.
No, you were there for that. But it was a lot of the details that
Raljin cares about.
Yeah, a lot of the details that Raljin did get, that you are actually asking about. You weren't present for, because that was more of a private conversation.
Yeah,
but
the private stuff's fine.
Yeah, so you do know that you do know that they were forced out by the lizard folk. You do know that they were backed up by these 2 dragons. And
that's not what I'm digging at.
Yeah, but the bit that you're digging at, the fact that your suspicions of Anthony Siren's involvement have just been confirmed for you. So
that's what I'm asking.
Because
character-wise, that makes my character more invested in what we're doing now.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you continue to walk through the summer groves and continuing down through these beautiful blossoms that and you can hear it's alive with life, fauna. You can hear the birds tweeting. You can sort of see squirrels or what would be sort of Feywild versions of squirrels. They've got much longer ears and sort of like tails that have little lights that sort of buzz around them. And they kind of jump from tree to tree. Some of them actually really curious of your being here. And they kind of jump around, and you can see there's like 3 of them, these curious little squirrels that are kind of jumping from tree to tree, watching you walk through the summer grove. You can another thing actually, you notice that the sun's in the sky, very bright in the sky, and it does move. Unlike when you're in the autumn grove, the sun where it's stationary in the sky, the sun appears to, as you travel for the hour that you're sort of traveling at this point, you notice the sun does actually move in the sky, and the shadows actually change, and the shadows do elongate across the ground as you move. So you do know that there is likely to be a nighttime when you get to a certain point. After travelling for a couple more hours, is there anything anyone else wants to accomplish during your travel?
I'll mosey on over to Morwin. And if Ash is around?
She's around, I'm listening.
The email.